Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today I'm going to be giving you 5 plants that are easy to grow and that are not your basic, everyday, super common aquarium plants like Amazon swords or green kabomba. Without further ado, let's talk about these plants. Before we get into the plant's species, let's talk about what the care requirements are for each of these plants. See, I am running the exact same care level for all of these plants because they're in the exact same aquarium. For each of these aquarium plants, all of them are going to be able to take lower lighting and a lesser nutrient-rich substrate. However, I do recommend that nutrient-rich substrate, but they all can have a lesser lighting and lesser nutrient substrate. In terms of temperatures, all of them can go from 65 degrees all the way up to 82 degrees. That's what I've kept them in a range, sometimes even colder and sometimes even warmer. But that's where I noticed that they have the most ideal growth. Some of these plants, you won't be able to achieve the best red coloration or best colors if they're not kept in the most ideal environments, but they will still live and flourish for you even though they might not be kept at the most ideal environments. Limnophila Sessilfloria, otherwise commonly known as Ambulia, and is mixed up in between with the name Ambulia and Limnophilia indica. See, Limnophila Sessilfloria is a different type of aquarium plant as it resembles Kabomba to an extent and mermaid's weed. However, it has a much easier grow levels in terms of my opinion, as Limnophila Sessilfloria can not only propagate by cutting of the stem, but it'll also send out runners as shown here, which if grown in a nutrient-rich substrate or grown in great environments, it will spread all across your tank, requiring a lot of trimming maintenance, but you're getting a lot of new growth and you're getting a lot of great growth. The cool thing is about this plant is that I really like it for fry, as it makes dense bushes of these plants, and it's just great for if you want to breed guppies like I do in this tank behind me, or if you want to have a really thick, cool, light green, lush part to your aquarium. Some plants that really pair well with this are going to be your reds, like Alternanthe reconi, Rotala blood red, Rotala rotundifolia red, Rotala orange juice, or any aquarium plant that has a bright red hint to it, or red overall, as it really brings out that color that really pairs well with it, and I really recommend it with keeping red plants. Moving on to plant number 2, and a plant that I personally discovered a strain of, Persicaria Yellowbush. Yes, that is right, you heard me. I did find this out in the wild, and I have grown this in my aquariums for a while now. Now, the cool thing about this is it is a type of Persicaria which is extremely easy to grow, but the unknown thing that I find kind of strange to the hobby is how Persicarias are relatively unknown to the hobby. The only common Persicaria, I say common, it's still pretty rare, is Persicaria salapalo. But that's the only one that I've really heard of that's been more mainstream that you can find online. However, you can find my Persicaria Yellowbush at my website, yellowbushquatics.com. But the cool thing about this plant is even though I have it shown in this clip right here with its half immersed growth, is that once you get it to fully submerged form, it'll be a dark red, and it loves an iron-rich nutrient substrates, which I am actually looking into creating my own nutrient-rich substrate at the moment, and it is in the works. I will be giving more info and detail about that soon, but let's talk about the care and requirements of this plant. As you can tell, Persicaria Yellowbush has a really thick green or black stem depending on what type you get, whether it's half immersed or half submerged. If you don't know what that means, feel free to check out one of my previous videos where I mentioned the difference between immersed and submerged plants. So when it comes to getting yourself a really cool red unknown plant, yet still really easy to get, I recommend getting Persicaria Yellowbush as it suits your aquarium with that great, nice red touch. Moving on to plant number 3, it is arguably the easiest plant to grow on this list and is cousins to an invasive plant, Hygrophila Polysperma Roservang. Yes, this is a great aquarium plant if you are absolutely like really bad with aquarium plants. I think, in my opinion, this is the easiest aquarium plant to grow with, whether you grow at low light, high light. Well, if you're growing with high light, you're gonna have a lot more better results. But if you're growing it with low light, sand substrate, or no substrate at all, and you have cichlids that eat, certain cichlids that eat up on this plant's gonna survive for you. It is bulletproof. There could not be a more bulletproof plant than Hygrophila Roservang, and it's just amazing. And now, this is the unvariegated form, as I have never kept the variegated form. However, I'm sure that if you had the variegated form, it would be almost identical in terms of care levels. As mentioned in the start of this video, again, the care level is ridiculously easy. I've had Hygrophila Roservang freeze in an ice block outside left over in some of my ponds a few winters ago, and it comes back perfectly fine. So you can keep this in like 40 degrees all the way up to probably 89 degrees is the most I've kept it to. I did battle algae when it got to those temperatures, but you can keep it really hot and you can keep it really cold, and it grows super duper fast when there's a lot of nutrients in the water column or nutrients in the substrate. Now it'll grow a lot slower without it, and so which is why I recommend putting in this Hygrophila Roservang in a new established tank. Is if it has too much nutrients in the water column, which would promote a lot of algae, the Hygrophila Roservang will just instead grow quite a bit and suck out all those excess nutrients, thus battling your fight against algae when you first set up in a planted aquarium. But if you're looking for a great aquarium plant that's green and can turn red with higher lighting and is super duper easy to grow, I really recommend Hygrophila Roservang, and it is just perfect for if you want to get a buddy or pal into the planted aquarium world and they need a bulletproof plant. The next aquarium plant on our list is Ulticaria Gibba, and it is an extremely cool plant as it is one of the only carnivorous plants in the aquarium trade. So let's talk about Ulticaria Gibba. Don't be alarmed, as Ulticaria Gibba only eats tiny plankton that are swimming around in your aquarium. For Ulticaria Gibba, I would treat it almost as if it is a moss type of an aquarium plant, as it does grow super duper fast, but you can make some really cool creations with it, like some certain bonsai trees that would be a white leaf texture that I would find super duper cool. Now, I recommend it for a species only planted aquarium tank, maybe throw in a few other plant species, but Ulticaria Gibba is gonna grow really, really fast and take over all over your aquariums. So if you want it in your main aquarium with all your plants, just be aware that is a super fast grower and does require some maintenance to keep trimming off of it, which is great for beginners if you want an aquarium plant that's gonna grow really, really fast for you. So if you want a white aquarium plant that's carnivorous, that is super easy to keep, look into keeping Ulticaria Gibba. If you want to, you can find it on my website at oliversaquatics.com. I have some available. Coming in at plant number 5 and the last aquarium plant on our list, let's talk about Pogostemon Stellus octopus. Back when I had ponds in my backyard in South Texas, I really, really loved growing this plant as it grew super duper fast and it shimmered and sparkled all of my ponds. In fact, here are some photos if you want to check it out. It was amazing. It grew super duper fast and it was just outstanding for fish and cover and fry, and my guppies, when they were in the pond, they loved going in and out of it, and they were just a great overall magnet in my ponds. Just like in my ponds, Pogostemon Stellus octopus just grows exact same in my aquariums. It is super duper fast growing. It has a great thick, lush bush when planted together, and it has a purple-sided undertone to its leaves that also brings out a great shimmer sparkle effect when you're in an aquarium with high flow or just enough flow to where the leaves are moving around. I really recommend this aquarium plant for beginners, as it also brings not only just a great color tone to it, but it also brings some unique texture, as the leaves are very spread out and they're very pointy, and it looks really cool and looks really high tech, when in reality, it's super easy to grow. And that will wrap up the video. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you in the next one. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below and I'll be happy to answer them for you. Until next time, I'll see you in the next video.